So I think that if you were to ask me, what are the things that I particularly hate when it comes to videos done by non-Australians about Australia, I would probably have to direct you to this video. I stumbled across it while I was doing something else, and straight up I thought this is possibly one of the worst videos I've seen to date of someone trying to talk about Australia. I could go on here about why that is, but I'll just show you. So let's jump in and have a look at this video by a channel called Travel World. That is 15 things to know before you go to Australia.
G'day mates, your ultimate guide to Australia awaits. Hey there fellow adventurers, and welcome to Yellow Productions. I'm stoked to have you here.
So obviously the first question is there actually anybody who goes, oh, I think I'll travel to Australia, and then decides to look at a video that uses stock footage and AI audio? This isn't even narrated by a person, and as I said, it's stock footage. This is a video that's been put together by someone who's clearly never even set foot in Australia. And that is number one on my list of things that really tick me off about foreigners trying to do videos about Australia.
I spend a ridiculous amount of time crafting travel guides designed to empower you to explore the world affordably, comfortably and intelligently. And today we're diving headfirst into the land down under Australia. Now Australia's massive, we're talking the world's 6th largest country. To put it in perspective, imagine a landmass almost as big as the United States, but with only 25 million people. That's like one New York City spread out across this entire awesome continent.
Okay, so I'm going to apologise on the off chance that the background music doesn't flag up as being copyrighted, because the tool that exists in YouTube that helps me to remove copyright music literally only works if the music is copyrighted. So unless someone owns the copyright for Countdown Races, then for me trying to remove that horrible, hideous music from the background becomes impossible. So apologies there. It is really, really annoying me. But yeah, with a bit of luck, this will be one instance where I would be glad of a copyright claim on the music, because then YouTube does have the option of removing the music from the background.
So, unless you've got a year to spare, you'll want to pick a region or two to focus on. For first timers, I always recommend starting with Sydney and Melbourne.
Definitely spoken by someone who has never set foot in Australia and has no concept of the sort of places that are worth visiting. Now, I'm not saying that Sydney and Melbourne aren't worth visiting, but if you want to go visit a city, you can go anywhere in the world. And yeah, Melbourne and Sydney are pretty good to visit, but honestly, if you are visiting Australia, you should be visiting it for the things that are unique and for the beautiful landscapes, not for the cities. So to me, this is just utter bullcrap. What about the Barrier Reef? What about the entire east coast of Australia? I could go on. What about the Great Ocean Road? Obviously, probably better off doing that in summer when it's a bit warmer, because down the south here it does get cooler. But Gold Coast, okay, that's a bit touristy, but even still, why go, hey, go to these two cities because they've got like 5 million people each in them. So you're not going to really see the magic of Australian culture. You're just going to see what city life looks like.
These iconic cities offer a taste of everything that makes Australia special. But don't worry, we'll be exploring other amazing destinations as well, so buckle up and let's get started.
And in keeping what I've already said, no, Sydney and Melbourne do not offer a taste of everything that Australia has to offer. There is so much more to Australia than what you're going to find in Sydney and Melbourne. And like I said, I'm not dissing on Sydney and Melbourne. What I'm saying is that if that's your idea of the best option for visiting Australia, don't waste your money.
Chapter 1. Oz Unpacked, where to explore down under first up. Let's get you oriented.
Okay, the biggest problem with using AI generated audio is that there are no natural pauses in the audio, and quite often the punctuation doesn't have the right pauses or the right intonations either. And to me this is just so damn annoying. I know that on my other channel I did a lot of videos originally where I used no narrative, and that was because I was self-conscious about using my voice because I don't like the sound of my voice. But on those videos I still didn't use AI generated voices. I simply found other ways around it. But honestly, if you're going to do something where the entire video is a narration, don't use AI generated voices, because it is just really, really damn annoying.
Australia's divided into states and territories, each with its own unique vibe. You've got the bustling metropolis of Sydney in New South Wales and the cultural hub of Melbourne in Victoria. Canberra, the capital, is nestled in the Australian Capital Territory, while South Australia boasts the charming city of Adelaide, known for its festivals and world-class wine. Over in Western Australia you'll find Perth, a city famous for its stunning beaches and laid-back lifestyle. And then there's the outback, the rugged and awe-inspiring heart of Australia, covering a vast chunk of the country.
So according to this video, we have Western Australia, South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, ACT and the outback. And they are apparently the states of Australia. So this is just ridiculous. Now, I think we're all used to places or morons who forget that Tasmania is a part of Australia. And you may have noticed in the thumbnail that I actually did very carefully remove Tasmania from my little map of Australia that I shoved in the thumbnail, because I was having a dig at this video. I actually hadn't paid a lot of attention to this video when I did that, otherwise I might have also removed Queensland and Northern Territory, because apparently they don't exist. So this has got to be the ultimate in terms of stupidity. Like I said, I think we've all come across instances where Tasmania has been left off the map, but this has got to be the first time ever when you've got two states and a territory that have been left off the map. And if you look at the size of Queensland and Northern Territory, that's nearly half of Australia, probably about a third maybe, but that's a huge chunk of Australia to leave off the map.
Chapter 2. Dive into the deep blue, the Great Barrier Reef. No trip to Australia is complete without experiencing the underwater wonderland of the Great Barrier Reef. Stretching over 1,400 miles, it's the largest coral reef system on the planet. Whether you're a seasoned diver or a first-time snorkeler, the kaleidoscope of colours in marine life will blow you away. Imagine swimming alongside graceful manta rays, curious sea turtles, and hundreds of species of fish. Trust me, it's an experience you'll never forget. Just remember to be a responsible tourist and respect this natural wonder.
Okay, it is so infuriating listening to this tosser with, like I said, stock footage that is the cheapest, crappiest of stock footage, to the point where you have the writing on it, like story blocks. And I'm sorry, but that is a really boring thumbnail up the top. So maybe I'm being a snob there, but this is just a really lazy video that someone has made. They haven't gone and tried to get decent footage. They haven't even tried to create a decent logo for their channel. They haven't even tried to record their own narrative. And I'm willing to bet that this entire narrative is actually something that has been lifted off. It's probably a cut and paste job, so they haven't even taken the time to write it themselves. Saying, be a good tourist and respect the Great Barrier Reef. What a dumbass thing to say. Of course people are going to respect the Great Barrier Reef. That's a given. And, I mean, let's get real. If you are going to the Great Barrier Reef, then chances are you are going to be doing it as part of a tour. You're going to have to, if you want to go snorkeling or diving on the reef, then you are going to have to do it with like a tourist company. Because it's not like it's just you walk along a jetty and there you are on the reef and you jump in. You actually have to go out on a boat to get out there. So, just the absurdity. Had this person ever been to the Great Barrier Reef, they would know these things, and then perhaps they would be talking about practical things like that, instead of just the airy-fairy. Now, I will say that, now I've never been to the Great Barrier Reef, but it's my understanding that there are expenses involved, because like I said, you have to pay a tourist company for you to be able to get there. So while it is a great experience, certainly if you are travelling on a budget, it's not the be all and end all. There are definitely plenty more beautiful places to see in Australia that can still keep you within a budget.
Chapter 3. From beaches to blizzards, Australia's climate. Hold up, did someone say blizzards in Australia? Yep, you heard that right. While Australia is known for its sunny skies and warm weather, it actually experiences all 4 seasons, especially in the southern parts of the country, so pack your swimmers in sunscreen, but don't forget a light jacket and even some warmer clothes if you're venturing out of the tropical north. And if you're a ski or snowboard enthusiast, you'll be stoked to know that Australia has some pretty epic slopes in the snowy mountains and Victorian Alps.
Yes, we have our alpine regions, but first of all, blizzards, get real. You might get a heavy snowstorm. That's as far as it goes. If you want a blizzard, you're going to have to go to Antarctica, or you're going to have to go to one of these European countries that has lots of snow. And I would recommend, as much as I love Australia, it is my understanding that you wouldn't come to Australia for the skiing. If you were an avid skier and you wanted to go on a skiing holiday to another country, Australia probably wouldn't be overly high on your list, because compared to some other countries, our ski slopes aren't really that spectacular. We get snow, but it's seasonal. Chances are, if you book a snow holiday in Australia, you might get there and find there's no snow.
All right, let's talk about the adorable and sometimes quirky creatures that call Australia home. Of course, no trip is complete without a kangaroo sighting. These iconic animals are everywhere, and you might even get lucky enough to spot a baby joey peeking out from its mother's pouch. Then there are the cuddly koalas, chilling out in eucalyptus trees. Head to the southeast coast for the best chance to see them in the wild. And if you're looking for the perfect selfie buddy, the quokka, found on Rottnest Island near Perth, is known for its ridiculously cute smile.
Yep, because that makes all the difference, doesn't it, if you're doing an AI generated voice, to suddenly change the voice partway through. Why bother? It is still an AI generated voice, it is still annoying. Now, once again, we have someone who has no real understanding of Australia, giving the impression that if you step out on the street, chances are you're going to come face to face with a kangaroo. And you may even see a joey while you come face to face with that kangaroo. You know how long it's been since I've spotted a joey in a kangaroo's pouch? The last time I saw a joey, it was actually a wallaby joey, and that was in a bush area in Tasmania. I've been in Victoria for over 6 years now. I've done an East Coast road trip during that time from way over Lakes Entrance, travelling up the coast all the way as far as Byron Bay, back down through the centre. I've not seen one joey sticking its head out of a pouch in a kangaroo. I have seen plenty of kangaroos around, but you certainly don't see them on every street. As for koalas, you know how hard it is to spot a koala in the wild? It's not as easy as you think.
Now let's get down to the practical stuff. Money matters. The currency in Australia is the Australian dollar, and it's helpful to have some local cash on hand for smaller purchases in markets. The cost of living is generally comparable to the United States and Western Europe. Credit cards are widely accepted, making transactions super easy.
For a little bit of local insight, if you're coming from America and you have an American Express card, forget it. There's a good chance that the majority of businesses that you go to are going to not accept American Express cards. I can't remember what the reason is for that, but there is a solid reason, some sort of fiscal reason, and hopefully someone will remind me of that in the comments section. But transactions are easy if you've got the right card.
And hey, to stretch your travel budget, consider eating at some of Australia's awesome local pubs and cafes. They offer delicious and affordable meals that won't break the bank.
Seriously? Pub meals and cafes? And that's not going to break the bank? Here's my suggestion. If you are overseas and you are travelling to Australia, then you probably should consider actually making a few of your own meals. You can go to Aldi or somewhere. You can buy a whole tub of pasta salad, for example. If you like tuna, buy a tub of pasta salad, tin of tuna, mix it together. There's a meal for 2 people, and it's cost you a little over $5. Same 2 people, go to a pub for lunch. It's going to cost you well and truly upwards of $50. You do the math. Now, I'm not going to go through this part where they're talking about visa applications, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty certain, given that they've done none of this actual research as something from personal experience, that this is all stuff that if someone was coming to Australia, they could find online. So I'm just going to skip past all the visa application stuff and just move on to the next part.
Australia's a big country, but getting around is a breeze. In major cities like Sydney and Melbourne, public transport is your best bet. Trains, trams, and buses will get you where you need to go efficiently and affordably. Plus, it's a great way to soak in the city vibes. But if you're planning on venturing out to the outback or taking epic road trips along the coast, renting a car is the way to go. Just remember, Australians drive on the left-hand side of the road, so keep your wits about you.
Okay, do me a favour. If you're coming to Australia and you're so dim-witted that you need to keep your wits about you to actually drive on the left-hand side of the road and not cause an accident, please just do not get behind the wheel of a car. The intelligent people that I've heard who have come to Australia have said it's no problem adjusting to driving on the left-hand side of the road. So this is once again information from some twat who's never set foot in Australia. Now, in terms of rental cars, I think we all know that if you are planning a decent sized trip around Australia, if you're going to pay for a rental car, you're going to need to take out another mortgage before you come. So if you are planning a serious road trip in Australia, well, the more obvious thing that you need to do is to actually buy yourself a second-hand vehicle and allow time at the end of your trip to stay somewhere in a city so you can resell that vehicle before you leave the country. Of course, in terms of travelling, in regional areas, there are still trains and buses that go to regional areas. There are still tours that run to regional areas. So if it is beyond your capacity to pay exorbitant amounts of cash for a rental car or to purchase a vehicle so you can do a really long road trip, then you can still experience some areas of regional Australia via public transport.
Australians are a friendly bunch, and they love a good chat. While English is the official language, be prepared for some Aussie slang that might leave you scratching your head. G'day means hello, arvo is afternoon, and brekkie is, you guessed it, breakfast. Don't worry about memorizing everything. Half the fun is embracing the local lingo and asking what it all means. You'll be saying no worries and chuck another shrimp on the barbie in no time.
Every time I hear someone from the United States try to come out with chuck another shrimp on the barbie, it does my head in. Do your frickin' research before you make videos like this, moron. Sorry, but someone had to say that. We don't chuck a shrimp on the barbie. In Australia, we have prawns. Chances are, though, if we're having a barbecue, then probably we're going to have burgers or sausages. Maybe if we're feeling a bit fancy, we might have a skewer with 3 or 4 garlic prawns shoved on the skewer alongside our meats, unless of course we don't eat red meat. But oh my gosh, does my head in every time I hear this. This has to be one of the number one things that really bugs me when I see videos made by people who are attempting to make videos about Australia and they know jack shit.
Australia's a pretty safe country, but it's always a good idea to be aware of your surroundings and take some basic precautions. When it comes to those glorious Aussie beaches, always swim between the flags. These flags mark areas patrolled by lifeguards who are trained to spot dangers like rip currents. And remember, the sun down under is strong, so slap on that sunscreen, wear a hat, and stay hydrated. As for the wildlife, admire them from a safe distance and avoid feeding or approaching them, especially crocodiles and snakes.
Yeah, good tip. Don't try and feed the crocodiles and snakes while you're in Australia.
Get ready for some retail therapy. Australia has a vibrant shopping scene, from bustling malls to quirky boutiques and local markets. Keep in mind that shops generally open around 9 a.m. and close around 5 p.m, with some variations depending on the day and location. When it comes to dining, Australians love their food, and the culinary scene is incredibly diverse. From fresh seafood by the coast to multicultural delights in the cities, there's something to tantalise every taste bud. And hey, don't miss out on trying some iconic Aussie dishes like Vegemite on toast. You've been warned. Meat pies and Tim Tams.
And back to what I was saying about AI-generated voices and the lack of actual phrasing from punctuation. The way they said that, it made it sound like "you've been warned" was another type of Australian food. And here we go again with the prawns, which apparently in their view are Australian food, as in they are shrimps that you have on the barbie. Grrr.
Chapter 11. Australians take their coffee seriously, and you'll find no shortage of amazing cafes serving up expertly crafted lattes, cappuccinos, and flat whites. If you're feeling adventurous, try a long black, similar to an Americano, or a short black, which is their version of espresso. And when it's time to unwind after a day of exploring, grab a coldie. That's a beer, mate.
Seriously? They just get a random picture from a pub that's not even an Australian pub. Here's one of the other things that really bugs me about people making videos about Australia when they've never been here. They get stock footage, and because they've never been here, they don't even realise that the stock footage isn't even depicting anything to do with Australia.
At one of Australia's many pubs. From craft breweries to iconic Aussie brands.
Still not an image depicting Australia, and let's point out the smoke haze there, which really shows that it's definitely not Australia, regardless of the types of glasses, etc. Honestly, this is so annoying.
Like VB and XXX. There's a...
Oh my goodness. I nearly choked when I heard that. XXX. Twit, it's called 4X. And let's get real. I'm sorry to people who live in the northern part of Australia, but 4X and VB, not my first choice for beer. Okay, admittedly, I'm not much of a beer drinker at the best of times, but I can think of other brands that I would recommend above them. Sorry.
Brew for every beer lover. Cheers to that.
Chapter 12. Ever wondered what happens to American brands when they cross the equator? Well, in Australia, some familiar faces get a unique Aussie twist. Burger King transforms into Hungry Jack's, and instead of Target, you'll find yourself browsing the aisles of Kmart.
I'll say this slowly. Stupid ignoramus. For any non-Australians who are watching this, the reason I said that is because in Australia we have Kmart and Target.
Which is actually way more like Target than the American Kmart. And when it comes to groceries, Woolworths is the go-to supermarket giant.
Sure, if you want to go shopping in a supermarket where they price gouge, then go to Woolworths. You can also go to Coles because they price gouge as well. Here's a tip if you're a tourist wanting to get cheap groceries. Go to Aldi. It is at least 30% cheaper according to the Australian government with their somewhat toothless supermarket investigation that they just did. That said, these days, even a decent IGA can be more affordable than going to Woolies or Coles.
It's all part of the adventure of discovering the subtle differences that make Australia so unique. Chapter 13. And there you have it, mates. Your ultimate guide to Australia. From the iconic landmarks to the hidden gems, I hope I've inspired you to start planning your own Aussie adventure. Remember, this is just a taste of what this incredible country has to offer. If you're keen to dive deeper into the magic of Sydney and Melbourne, make sure to check out my other videos dedicated to these amazing cities. I've packed them with even more insider tips, local secrets, and must-do experiences.
Well, that would have to have been the most shallow, under-researched attempt to showcase Australia that I have ever seen. My suggestion to anyone from overseas who is considering an Australian trip, go and look for a travel channel such as Unpacked Wanderers or Jack and Megan, or there are countless individuals who have channels where they travel around Australia and you can see what Australia is really like and you can learn how to actually experience Australia properly. I have to say, to me this has definitely been the worst I've ever seen in terms of some twat from overseas who's never set foot in Australia and has clearly just gotten random bits of information from Google and tried to clump them together into a video. Like I said, they haven't even used decent footage. It's all stock footage and it's all labelled so you can see that it's stock footage. They haven't had the decency even to use a proper voice. Instead, it's all AI generated voices which change multiple times. Like that's going to make it any better. Anyway, thanks for listening if you're still here. Please, if you are new to my channel, subscribe, hit the like button and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this video.